KFBU. We'll be in a pretty quiet weather pattern. Not much going on, except the temperatures will stay warm. Clear low 60s overnight, and then sunshine and mid-80s for the afternoon high on Monday. Clear Monday night, and then mid-80s again, and plenty of sunshine on Tuesday. We may start to see a few more showers by Wednesday. This is meteorologist Steve Hamilton.
Today, 1 in 5 working-age Americans has a mental health condition. People in all types of jobs and at all levels.
And the key to helping us succeed is a supportive and inclusive workplace.
All of us have a role to play in making that happen.
So what can I do to help?
As a CEO, I can set the tone for supportive culture.
As a manager, I can offer assistance and accommodation.
As a coworker, I can listen and be a source of support to my colleagues. As someone with a mental health condition, I can ask for what I need to perform my best.
I can offer all employees the support they need to deliver on the job.
For the team and for the business.
What can I do? What can I do?
What can I do?
I can remind others
That we all benefit from workplaces that promote good mental health.
mental health-friendly workplaces are more important than ever.
And all of us have a role to play in promoting them.
Learn more at whatcanyoudocampaign.org.
In 2007, Marine First Lieutenant Travis Manion was killed in Iraq after saving his wounded teammates. Travis's legacy lives on through the 5 words he spoke before leaving for his final deployment. If not me, then who? Words that today feel the spirit of Travis Manion Foundation. Words that live in veterans, families of the fallen, and inspired civilians who go out of their way to find a way, who help others with the help of others, who bounce back after each setback, who make good on good intentions. Through Travis Manion Foundation, if not me, then who, are words that can live in you too. Show the world what your character is made of, because character is invisible until it's not. Find out how you can strengthen the character of your community alongside empowered veterans, families of the fallen, and inspired civilians at TravisManion.org. That's TravisManion.org.
Do you know a veteran in need? Nation's Finest, through the VA's Supportive Services for Veteran Families program, helps veterans and their families struggling with rents, employment, and other housing-related costs. Today, Nation's Finest operates more than 30 locations in California, Arizona, and Nevada, helping thousands of veterans every year. Visit nationsfinest.org or call 1-833-468-9676. That's 1-833-468-9676.
And home doors for
That's it?
is where it spreads from mass murder.
Is that on? Is that on mine?
Pink moon murders. Wherever you get your
Open mine yet.
Why?
And we return to our American stories. And up next, a story from one of our regular contributors, Richard Munoz.
Chips.
Rich is a listener out in Colorado, and his story today is entitled Midnight at the Live Fire Exercise. Here's Rich with the story.
ABC, this is World News Tonight with Peter Jennings.
Good evening. The deadline has come and gone. The Iraqis are living in what President Bush calls borrowed time. It is no longer whether the war will start, but when.
Hot flies.
Hot flies?
What's that?
In 1991,
Chip?
we had a little thing called the Gulf War, and in it we sent armored divisions, infantry divisions into Iraq. And I'll be honest with you, we turned the clock. I mean, it looked a little bit like War of the Worlds, only we were the Martians. Now, one of the things that happened here is we definitely had the superior tank. I mean, the M1 tank, fantastic piece of hardware. The other thing we had going for us, we had better training. Now, granted, they had some actual combat experience, but we had trained to a razor's edge. Where did we do this training? At a little place called National Training Center at Fort Irwin, California, out in the middle of nowhere in the Mojave Desert. Now, the first time I ever went out there, it was about 1988. What had happened was, I was working military police investigations at the time. Now, that's exactly what it sounds like I was doing. I was a detective. I put on a suit, put on a tie, and I went out there and I played detective. Well, in the FM manuals, there's always need for an MPI investigator to go out with division. Well, no one ever had, so I was kind of a little bit of a pioneer here. This was the first time an MPI investigator was going to go out with division out at the National Training Center. Now, here's the problem. No one knew exactly what my job was. So my nation kind of wound up being a catch-all. What I wanted to do was investigate an awful lot of accidents. And if you want to see some horrific accidents, do it where you got high explosive rounds going off, being shot from some of the most fantastic equipment in the world, and see what happens. Add to that unfamiliar terrain, things like that, and I make risks of getting people killed. This is a story about a couple of soldiers that managed to dodge the bullet. And I'll be honest with you, they came very, very close. Okay, now what they did with me was I wound up having to stay behind at the provost marshal's office. And I got to sleep in a jail cell for the 29 days of deployment. Well, one night
What, is it home?
I'm sound asleep, and the dispatcher comes back and wakes me up. And I said, Rich, there's been a terrible accident out on one of the ranges. What happened?
The medical discharge?
A tank fired up an APC, and my first response was, oh
For no
my
reason.
God.
That's the church that Uncle Terry goes to.
So I got dressed, and I walked over to Dallas DAQ. That's where the division safety officer was staying. I said, guys, we've had a bad accident on the range. We've had an M1 fire from APC. What did you know? That's all I know right now. And we loaded up to their 4x4. And they made a few phone calls like that. We knew where we were going. And I remember we're driving through, and it's pitch black outside. You have not seen pitch black until you're in the middle of the Mojave Desert.
Down.
So we're driving along, and I wound up falling asleep. First one I woke up, and we're stopping. And we're stopping at what looks like a trailer house.
The one that climbed in his videos,
And
no.
one of the officers got out
What?
and went in.
What?
He comes out. He's
No
got a
flying?
tape.
Yeah, up. One.
And
Down.
you guys have got
Down.
to hear this.
There's one.
They plugged it in.
Yes.
Down and
Up.
This is routine
Say
stuff.
it.
Here in what's called a fist.
Down.
A fist is a fire support vehicle. This calls in targets. In this case, this was an M113 set up on a little hill there. It has
That's
one
good.
crew, and they were calling in targets. And all of a sudden, you hear a scream. Cease fire, my God, we're hit, cease fire. And you hear other people screaming, cease fire, shut it down. Then it goes dead. By the time we got out to where this accident had occurred, the sun had already come up. The M1 that was responsible for doing the firing, was still sitting there. Sitting over on a hill, maybe about 500 yards away, is the fist. Now, the first thing we got to determine is what happened here. And we're talking to a major who was in charge of all this. And he's telling us what had happened was they were doing a live fire. Now, the way they did this was, this is a response to an attack, or a simulated attack, by enemy armor. The way they would handle this is one tank would roll up and it would fire. It'd roll back to reload, another one would roll up, fire, and they're just alternating back and forth. Only this is, dozens of tanks doing this.
Kids bang over?
They had these range
Kids bang over?
stakes, big long posts pounded into the ground. They do this for safety reasons. Well, I get out, I'm looking at the tank there, and the first thing I notice is that there's a red paint transfer on the gun
Bang
turret.
over?
And I can't very clear what's happening here. Every time the tank moved back, the gun tube was rubbing against the gun stick, safety stick. And therefore the fire was progressively getting wider and wider and wider. Now I went over and checked some of the other stakes, and they were in very, very firm. But not this one. This one was loose. I mean, I could sit there and shake it with my hand. Like I said, it's still the fire's getting progressively wider and wider. Well, eventually what happened is that when they got maybe 2 to 3 seconds to acquire a target fire, when they get up there, guess what's in their field of fire now? The fist. They fired at it. Now, the weapon they used was what we call a sable round. Now, sable round is kind of an interesting weapon. When this slams into a target, whatever the missile's made of, the shell's made of, vaporizes almost instantly. The needle, which looks a little bit like a cone, melts the armor, whatever it hit, and then goes inside. I know in the Gulf War, I saw tanks that had been hit by sable rounds. On the outside, they don't look too bad. Look down the hatch. That's what they've hit this tank with. This is an APC. An APC is, it sounds like a tank. It's a very lightly armored vehicle.
Come on, damn it, I'm driving!
That, we know what's going on here now. Now we went over and checked out the APC. It surprised me at the amount of damage. The rounds had come in low. By that, what I mean, it went in between the tracks and into the engine compartment down underneath.
No.
If it had hit the APC square on, there would have been no survivors on this thing. I mean, it was just...
I'm trying to turn it, Wayne.
It was, the entire top of the APC itself was melted off. And there was a machine gun, an M60 machine gun sitting on the machine gun mount. This thing was actually melted and it would bow down in half. Okay, now I had to go back to base, and we kind of have a division of labor now. What the safety officers do, they would go talk to the crew and the commanders and everybody else that was associated with this. I would go to the hospital and talk to the crew of the APC. And this is where I got the rest of the story. Now, when I went in there and I told them what I was there for, they were nice enough to put the crew in the same room. And these guys were messed up.